As I get older and my free time becomes more and more scarce with life responsibilities, and my attention becomes divided due to other non gaming related hobbies, I find it not only hard to find time to play lengthy RPGs, but hard to find the motivation to want to play them if they don't hook me strongly enough. But as I put more and more time into Triangle Strategy, I felt something I haven't felt with the JRPG in quite a while: the desire to not put it down. The itch to view one more scene before bed when I know I need to sleep because I have to get up early in the morning. Those feelings that come when you know you're playing something special. I felt that during my time with Triangle Strategy. If you don't know what Triangle Strategy is, it's a political war drama strategy RPG similar to Final Fantasy Tactics. You control Serenoa, the young heir to House Wolffort, as he and his allies navigate the continent of Norzelia and its tumultuous political landscape. Where Triangle Strategy differs from Final Fantasy Tactics and other games in the strategy RPG genre is the choices presented to you, the player, that shapes the narrative. Yes, choices and route splits aren't that uncommon in games in general, but it's been a long time since I played any game, let alone a strategy RPG, that has choices as difficult and impactful as the ones you're forced to make in Triangle Strategy. They start off pretty tame, like choosing which continent to travel to, and ramp up more and more as the game progresses, to the point where you're forced to make truly impossible decisions. The final choice in the game was so bad I literally had to put the game down and think about what I wanted to do because I could not decide. The devs of Triangle Strategy understood that to make choices impactful, you don't present the player with a blatant morally virtuous or corrupt choice. It's all shades of gray here, and oftentimes every option has a very negative consequence that you can't avoid. It can be heart-wrenching seeing the consequences of your actions, but it just makes the choices you willingly made that much more personable and memorable for your specific playthrough. The way these choices are carried out are unique as well, since they use an object and gameplay system called the Scales of Conviction. Whenever our characters are at a crossroads with how to proceed, they leave it to a democratic vote, with some characters feeling strongly about one of the 2 or 3 options presented to you. You can try to persuade other characters to see your point of view and side with you using dialogue choices to convince them, and time spent in the hub world talking to NPCs in towns or castles can provide you with information that will more easily sway party members. Now, the game just doesn't have these major choices that affect the course of the story either. Throughout the game, Serenoa will be presented with questions by party members and NPCs alike, asking for his opinions on both things trivial and serious. The way you answer these questions raises one of 3 invisible conviction levels. Get one of these to a certain threshold and you can recruit secret characters into your party from the world map. While these conviction levels are invisible to you normally, they can be viewed on a second playthrough, or you can look up a guide online if you want to be sure to recruit certain characters. Now, as for the premise of Triangle Strategy's plot, on the continent of Norzelia there's 3 main nations: the Kingdom of Glenbrook with its grassy terrains, the Grand Duchy of Esfrost and its cold mountainous lands, and the Holy State of Hyzante located in the desert. The entire game revolves around the power struggles of these 3 nations, with Serenoa and House Wolffort caught up in the middle. The game has everything you'd come to expect from a political drama. The betrayals, scheming, violence, and government level politics are all here, and it's all great. Never once was I not enthralled by what was going on in the story and with all the figures at play. Some may find the first couple opening hours not too interesting because you're being introduced to the world and the characters that inhabit Norzelia, but it's necessary build-up so that you can care about these characters and what they go through when crap does eventually hit the fan. And once it does, the game doesn't really let up until the credits roll. Now, the flow of the game can be broken up into phases. On the overworld, you can either view the next story scenes or battle, or view optional scenes that show what other characters are up to while the main plot is progressing. And as I mentioned earlier, sometimes you'll be able to run around the hub world of towns and other areas and talk to NPCs, or gather items. These sites are often where future battles will take place as well, so it's useful in gaining the lay of the land to strategize for the future. And speaking of battles, they're well done and challenging. I had to use genuine strategy to get through pretty much all of them, and as a result, I felt a genuine sense of accomplishment winning battles that I haven't felt from other strategy series like Fire Emblem or Super Robot Wars in a long time. You move around units and have them attack and use skills in typical strategy RPG fashion, but where Triangle Strategy's battles truly shine and get fun is in terrain strategy and manipulation. Elevated levels of terrain give you massive advantages in accuracy and making the enemy work to get to you. and elemental spells can burn grass tiles or electrocute water tiles. There was a specific map where I lured most of the enemies into the water and spent several turns electrocuting them to paralyze them and chip off as much HP as I could before I had no choice but to engage them in close combat. There's various examples of ways you can bend the field to your advantage like this, and it made it so battles never got stale. The one area where triangle strategy is fine, but could have excelled further, is in character customization. Every character is locked into a specific class with 2 or 3 tiers. You can use materials and money to unlock new active and passive skills, or improve stats on their own personalized skill tree. But that's kinda it. You can't change someone's class or the general way they play. Like I said, this isn't really an issue per se, especially since almost no 2 classes play the same, an impressive feat considering just how many characters are in the game and no class is repeated. But more player customization would have really taken battles to the next level. Now, in regards to sound in the game, it may be a mixed bag for some. The soundtrack itself is good, great even. There's a lot of standout tracks, and even characters just standing around talking is accompanied by fitting and moody themes. But the voice acting is where people will be divided. Some of the delivery, especially in the opening hours, may sound off, but in my opinion the voice actors found their groove pretty quickly, and I personally ended up really liking all the performances. But this of course may be up to personal tastes. Visually, the game is good, obviously using the HD 2D style that the Octopath team has popularized, though I have to admit there isn't much in the game in terms of effects, areas, or sprites that really takes advantage of the normally eye-catching style. But that's more of a personal nitpick since the game still looks good and is perfect for this type of narrative and battle system. Triangle Strategy isn't an RPG you should overlook. It's my personal game of the year so far, and one of my favorite strategy RPGs of all time. Want to hear a little more about Triangle Strategy? Check out this other video I did, discussing why the ratio of battles and story in the game is perfect. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you next time.